Yo, what's going on, guys? You're watching Epic Pokemon TCG. In today's video, guys, what I got for you, I'm going to be showing you guys a Necrozma Malamar. I don't know what I'm going to call this deck yet, but this is a Malamar list that has kind of a very specific point to it. And don't worry, guys, if you're wanting a Ultra Necrozma list, I definitely have one of those coming very soon. And also, I have a game coming up with this deck here too as well. I'll probably upload that ASAP, but it is an absolutely insane game if you guys want to see this deck in action. Yeah, so this deck is pretty much going to be kind of featured around using one prize attackers mostly in the deck, such as Giratina and Necrozma, the new Necrozma, and I'll kind of talk about what they do here. But I guess we're going to go ahead and start this one off by taking a look at Malamar. So Malamar has the ability Psychic Recharge. Once during your turn before you attack, you may attach a Psychic Energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. And then if you do need to use the attack, because you never know, it has Psychic Sphere for 60. So basically, what this deck is, what you can do is just kind of get some energy acceleration. Honestly, you can promote a Jirachi, get a Stellar Wish, start attaching some energies and such, and then just kind of charge up attackers. And your attackers are only going to give up one prize per knockout, which is really nice. And they can dish out some considerable amount of damage. It's actually pretty good. I would have two gameplays with this deck, but unfortunately, I made a complete total goof up in the one I was about to get so bad that it ruined the entire video. Like it just flat out ruined it. Now I know most traditional Malamar decks that you might see online, I have like a 4/4 line of it. You can definitely swap some stuff out, in this deck here if you would like to kind of thicken the lineup a little bit. That one is definitely up to you. But the next card we're going to take a look at is going to be Necrozma. I guess I would show this before Giratina because Giratina has been showcased so much because it's such a fantastic card. But Necrozma is one of the cards out of Unified Minds. It's actually in the theme deck, the Laser Focus theme deck. I've actually had a lot of practice with this card and I've also faced it quite a bit already. But as the attack barrier attack for 30, and then during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks. Now you never know when this actually just might be a clutch attack, or maybe you couldn't get 3 energy onto Necrozma. Just like a softening up attack or something along those lines. Mess with their numbers. Barrier attack could be pretty helpful in different situations. But really, we're going to be taking a look at Special Laser. I would totally cue in Dr. Evil doing his laser thing, but yeah, we're just going to try to make this short and sweet. Special Laser does 100, and if this Pokemon has any special energy attached to it, this attack does 60 more damage. So the special energy we're going to be running in this deck is, of course, going to be Recycle Energy. Now, Recycle Energy, honestly, is just a very flexible energy, and this is definitely the one I would recommend for this deck. It provides a colorless energy, and if this card is discarded from play, put it in your hand instead of the discard pile. So that pretty much just means you get to recycle it. Get it? Recycle energy, recycle. Anyway, cringy white jokes aside. So the Crossman is just going to be a one prize attacker that can hit for 160. Now, at first, I wasn't overly impressed with this card. I was like, eh. But after getting some playing around with it, and just kind of seeing what you could do with cards such as Spell Tag and such like that, it's actually a pretty decent card. Also, along with that, Giratina helps out too. It'll be the next card we take a look at. Giratina, of course, is a great card. It's been fantastic, honestly, ever since it first got released. Has the ability Distortion Door once your turn for you attack. If this Pokemon is in your discard pile, and trust me, there are plenty of ways to get it in there, you may put it onto your bench. If you do, put one damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Now, I have used this ability late game to basically just kind of maybe, honestly, okay, so this is probably the best scenario to give you guys. There are some GXs that have 270, and as you guys can tell right here, Giratina only hits for 130, and they've retreated. I've used the ability, put a damage counter on there, knocked it out, or maybe I was just, needing some more damage, and I was setting up a spell tag or something like that. Distortion Door, it's like, you put 10 damage on 2 Pokemon, big whoop. But honestly, if you're able to just kind of plan it out and just, if you're able to just plan it out and just hit it at the perfect time, it's actually a great ability. And then also it has Shadow Impact for 130. Now, unfortunately, you do have to put 4 damage counters on one of your Pokemon, but hey, it's still actually a pretty solid card overall. It can keep coming back. You just revive it, do some damage, Psychic Recharge, and then go from there. And you just gotta kind of be a little careful about where you put your 4 damage counters. I sometimes hit my Malamars. The only thing you really have to worry about with this deck is Custom Catcher, and you don't deal with Custom Catcher nearly as much as you do Guzma, whatever you want to call it from last format. But still, it's definitely a problem. Now, the next card we're going to take a look at is going to be Mimikyu. So yes, Mimikyu is still legal. It got a promo reprint. I'm very happy about that, just because of the copycat attack. It's so good. Uh, First attack does filch, you draw 2 cards. If you're using that attack, then you either started with Mimikyu or you're in a very tight position. But Copycat, if your opponent's Pokemon uses an attack that isn't a GX attack during their turn, you can use it as this attack. With all these big, gigantic tag team GX Pokemon running around doing these insane attacks and such, honestly, Mimikyu is a little homie. Like, he will definitely come up and bail you out of some situations. I like it would probably be horrible, but I wouldn't be against running 2 of this dude if, like, tag teams are just super heavy in your area. And honestly, if you have 2 Malamar or just 1 Malamar, you can promote a Pokemon, manually attach, Psychic Recharge, bam, Mimikyu's ready to go. It is a very big surprise card, and definitely one that I'm a huge fan of, and is one of my favorite cards when I play the Malamar deck, just because you never know what attacks you're gonna get to use. Like, you start playing an opponent, you look at their Pokemon, you're like, okay, I get to use this attack at some point. And you can also use Giratina's ability as well if you just, like, I don't know, like, there's different things you can do with this deck along with, like, just the spell tags, Giratina and such. And that's really what I like Malamar. I think Malamar is a fantastic card because there's so many decks and so many combinations, so many different things you can do with it. And that's why it's just a cool card all around. And that's why I have, like, multiple decks of it. And I'm hopefully going to get to cover them all. So we looked at Mimikyu. Now we're going to look at a card that I actually didn't even know existed until fairly recently, until someone told me about it, and that is Esper. So Esper is actually perfect for this deck as well, especially in the late game. So it has the attack Catterday. You're probably not going to use that one. Honestly, this is not the attack you want to be focusing on. But you get to draw a card, and then it goes to sleep. That's pretty much what you do. It takes a little cat nap. But it also has Ear Kinesis. This attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each damage counter on that Pokemon. So if you hit a Pokemon and they retreat it, you can pretty much just try to set this little dude up, little chick, whatever you want to say. I don't want to assume his gender because that's offensive. But anyway, you can set this little freak up, promote it, and just smack a tag team GX or a GX or just a Pokemon in general. Esper is honestly just pretty much a sniper card, and it's really good and really handy to have. This deck can't necessarily one shot unless you're facing off against, like, certain decks, but you can still crank up at a considerable amount of damage to where Esper can definitely be a threat. But lastly, we're going to look at Jirachi. So Jirachi has the ability Stellar Wish. Once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a trainer card you find there, and put it in your hand. Then shuffle the other cards and put them back into your deck, and then it's asleep. Now, just because it goes to sleep doesn't mean it's stuck up in the active spot, because we do have a skateboard in here as well to take a look at. The retreat cost of this Pokemon this card is attached to is 1 less, which is what Jirachi's retreat cost is, and it can even retreat if it's asleep or paralyzed. Now, this card came out a good little bit before Jirachi, but it was like a match made in heaven. Like, these 2 cards were made for each other. So yeah, Jirachi honestly is the card you want to try to start with, or whenever a Pokemon goes down, you can promote this, and if you have a skateboard on it, it's even better. You just bring it up, Stellar Wish, get yourself something, maybe a supporter, maybe like a Mysterious Treasure, just something you might need, retreat it, after, of course, you Psychic Recharge and got everything set back up, and then go from there. Jirachi's a great card. So that is going to do it for the Pokemon. Now we're going to take a look at the supporters. It is very, very generic. We have 4 Cynthia and 3 Lily. Now I actually want to try to thicken the supporter line a little bit. I've actually considered dropping the Pokegears altogether and just putting in another Lily, and then potentially putting in something else around here, maybe trying to thicken up the Malamar line. I don't know yet. But this supporter line seems to be working a little well. You also have Jirachi in there to kind of help you with your little consistency issues and such. You have Acrobike as well, which is a great card. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put one of them into your hand, and you discard the other, just to kind of help you get, like, some, just acceleration with your deck. Also, if you hit a Psychic Energy, you can put it in the discard pile to Psychic Recharge for later. Great card. Now, another thing about the Malamar deck is that it has an insane amount of searching that is actually really easy to pull off. You notice you got all these different Pokemon in here, and that is perfect for Pokemon communication. You reveal a Pokemon from your hand, put it into your deck, and then you search for another Pokemon. It's basically like a trade out. So yeah, you just get to search out for something. But along with that, we also have Mysterious Treasure. Now, when this card first came out, it was basically like a better Ultra Ball for Dragon and Psychic Pokemon. Uh, while yes, Ultra Ball kind of shined in Malamar as well because you got the discard 2 Psychic Energy potentially. You get what I mean. So, Mysterious Treasure, you discard a card from your hand. If you do, search your deck for a Psychic or Dragon Pokemon, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Now, there are a couple really great options with this deck as far as what you can discard with Mysterious Treasure. The first one I've talked about, of course, is Giratina. You can put that in the discard pile and get the Distortion Door ready to go. And then on top of that, you can also discard Psychic Energy, so that way you can use it for later on with Psychic Recharge. But we do run a couple Pokegear in here. I'm still up in the air about this card, just being at 2. I feel like I could definitely commit another spot to a Lily or something like that, and then maybe committing another spot to something like a Erica's Hospitality or maybe a Brock's Grit or something, just like another supporter potentially. But we also run Reset Stamp. This card has definitely been a very big annoyance. This card has honestly drove me crazy because my opponents just hit them at the greatest times against me. I don't know what it is. But this is definitely a very powerful trainer card. Your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and then draws a card for each of their remaining prize cards. Now, this is actually really, really good for tag team Pokemon, those decks, because like they knock out one of your Pokemon, they go down to 3 prizes. You reset stamp them, they go down to 3, so it's pretty good. But with this deck, this is kind of a late game card, sort of. All of your Pokemon only give up 1 prize card, so that's why there's only really 1 spot committed to it. But the next card we're going to take a look at is going to be Spell Tag. This is a really good card. Honestly, just kind of adds some extra damage, adds some extra pressure onto the field. When the Psychic Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. So honestly, this kind of just helps you set up for future knockouts. It kind of helps you set some damage up on board. And like I mentioned earlier, guys, it can also help set up Esper if you need to do like some more damage with its attack, or if you just need to try to like hit some key numbers and stuff with certain Pokemon in certain matchups, that can really be helpful. But we also run Switch. Switch is a great card in this deck just because of the high retreat cost, and not every Pokemon can benefit from your escape boards. That's just definitely a really good card to have. We also have Viridian Forest. This is a really good way to not only just pitch cards that you might not need anymore, but it also just allows you to search for an energy, allows you to kind of check your deck out and see what might be prized or something like that. But just honestly, overall, a really great stadium card. This is a little better, and you can really abuse it more in the Ultra Necrozma deck, but it's still a very good card in this deck as well. And I think that's really about it, guys. The strategy for this deck, honestly, is just your standard run-of-the-mill Malamar deck with just like some extra stuff in here, like some damage placement things and along those lines. But honestly, this deck has been a lot of fun. I kind of like the different take on a Malamar deck, and I have an insane game that I'm going to be uploading here in a couple days or so for you guys to check out. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, guys. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so yes, I would really appreciate it if you guys help me get closer and closer to that goal. I got big plans for 1,000. And also, guys, I have a lot of gameplay videos already recorded. I have some decks done that I can actually go ahead and record. So yes, we're gonna be doing some relevant content here on the channel. I'm pretty excited. Just getting a lot of work done for my Pokemon channel it's been a lot of fun, honestly, man. It's just really cool. But if you guys did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. Take care. I love you. And this is Epic Pokemon TCG signing out.